Hello everyone and welcome to another Hatecast, and today we're joined by the lovely John. Hello John, how are you today?
Very well, Andy. How are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, a bit rushed off my feet. Just had a big Iceland shop that I had to put away and then hang up some washing because that's how the lifestyle of the rich and glamorous.
Oh yeah. Are you a member of Atomic Kitten? I didn't know.
I am. It's true. Life's been hard to me. I'm Kerry Katona. Life's been hard. So John's going to join us today. I'm sure you know the format, John. I'm sure the viewers at home know as well. But we ask 15 questions and a special question that Dan has lovely Dan has set for us this week for you. And you can have your own question for us at the end for the next victim on the Hatecast show. But as always, how we start this show, we ask, so if someone was down the club and they saw you, what would you be doing? What would you like doing at the club? Where would you be?
I would probably be sat in the corner, rummaging through the bits box with a couple of drinks or painting a little project. It's been a while since I've gamed at the club, like hardcore. I come down for the camaraderie, really. Yeah.
I know when I come in, I'll find you by the door, the table by the door, and you'll be there, and you'll be like, what are you making? What is on? Is Tiny Piglets driving a World War I battle tank? There's now a Zeppelin.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very into my Studio Ghibli stuff. I'll be there carving away at some anime creation.
Yeah. Cool. Good. So if anyone has an interest about, will you see more into building of sort of dioramas than you are into sort of gaming now? Like, would you have to make a model as a?
That's a very interesting question. It depends what mood I'm in.
Yes.
Depends what mood I'm in.
Cool. So question number one, John, nice easy one for you. What's on your workbench right now? What are you working on?
What? Oh, cool. I've got the box right in front of me. I can show it to you.
I've never had that.
Working on this kit from Fine Molds. Is that taking up the full screen quite nicely?
That's interesting. What's that?
It is it's a kit of a Zeppelin. Surprise, surprise, surprise!
Wow.
It's another Miyazaki creation.
Oh yeah.
This one's from Laputa, and I've just put in the finishing touches to that.
It's a classic. Castle in the Sky.
And also, obviously, legions upon legions of English Civil War stuff.
Oh man!
Oh.
Hi everyone. This is the English Civil War addicts corner where we. I've been painting every single thing except my English Civil War.
I've been putting it off as well.
I've painted 48 firelocks, and that's not even a dent into the pile. I need to get painted. That's like an army in itself for like bolt action. I painted like a bolt action's army worth of firelocks, and that's like 3 units.
Do you find yourself messing around with the hats as well? Because my
hat be a distraction to me. I put the hats on, but there's no photos.
No, I have to do them in pairs. So it with the matchlocks, I need to make sure that there's 2 matching hats on one man running and one man firing. I don't know why. It's driving me crazy. Rank and file. Oh.
Yeah. If you haven't
the office, I'm putting the finishing touches to it.
Yeah, I know. I need to get on, and it's been very good motivation for getting absolutely everything else painted that I need to get done. And eventually, I'm just going to have to paint the English Civil War, and it's not actually that bad when I do it. It's not a problem. It's just rank and file, isn't it? So you're doing English Civil War. What are you doing for that? It's just, it's either horses, pike, or firelocks, really, isn't it? Or I guess artillery.
Units of pike I'm working on at the minute. I bought 2 command sprues, and I've just filled in the missing blocks.
Yeah.
In my pike, the missing.
Because you get 1 extra body.
So infuriating.
Why did you get one extra body? There's not enough arms.
So
Who designed that sprue? It was like, yeah.
And it's not like I can rummage in the bits box, stick some GW arms on it, because they're ever so slightly disproportioned. You know, trying to find a good conversion part for it is nigh on impossible.
Yeah. I had a few bits. You know, if you buy the Firelock sprue that has the two guys, or one has one guy but two sets of arms, you can give them a gun.
Does that work though? Does it look like it's meant to fit?
The thing about, you know, with Citadel models, you are a little bit spoiled in that they are the best models. They look amazing. They fit together. Well, some of them. Let's not mention the Crutox right now.
Oh.
These days, they fit together perfectly. They're CAD designed, fit together as a treat. You know, slide together and then they're stuck together. Some we don't even need glue for. They're just put together out of the box. That is not the case with the Warlord English Civil War models. Some of the arms don't really fit on the bodies that well. There's big gaps.
I think they're nearly 10 years old now, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think, is the sprue stamped 2007?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I hadn't noticed, mate. I'll be honest. It's just yeah. It's a different level, and you know, it was acceptable in the 80s. To just like, oh, I've got a green stuff. That's acceptable. That's not, to some people, that's just something that you just have to do. And if you've just been using GW models, you're used to like everything just fitting so perfectly together. You're like, what's wrong with this sprue? I must have the wrong arms because they don't fit.
Well, it also gives you some kind of half-assed interpretation, doesn't it? It's like, well, this guy could have these arms, but they also fit on this guy.
Yeah.
Which one do they fit better on? And I ended up, you just test fit your models, especially with the Civil War stuff. Do not get the glue out until you've done some good test fitting. Make sure the pikes are pointing the right way, so they're not poking the man in front in the back of the head. Yeah, it's a nightmare. I've had such a nightmare.
Yeah, I had a few where I'm like, so the body is slimmer than the gap between the arms. Like you have to hold the arms, push them in slightly while it dries.
I tell you what, I could literally bitch about this all day.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so you're working on your Zeppelin. You're working on English Civil War. Any other little bits at the moment?
Oh, well, I got some more stuff for Korea come through the post, and I got the Stalingrad book. So I've got a little Vasily Zaitsev that needs a lick of paint.
That's so nice. There's another Russian sniper as the dummy set up on the stick.
Oh, stop! You've got to splash out 300 quid for the limited edition Stalingrad set for that.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not.
As much as I'd love a fountain of children playing with crocodiles, not today.
That little resin piece is just beautiful.
Yeah,
so cool.
I don't. Are you reading anything at the moment, John? Are you listening to the audiobooks or reading much?
I am. I've been. Oh God, I'm going to murder this. I've been listening to a audio book at night, and I've completely forgotten what it's called. Hang on, bear with me. It's a Strugowski brothers book, but it's not one of their usual ones. Usually they do very, very bizarre Soviet sci-fi, but this is their stab at a kind of Cthulhu mystery, Cluedo mystery. It's called The Dead Mountaineer's Inn.
Yeah,
and in the story, which is why I've forgotten the name, is that inn doesn't belong to the dead mountaineer. It belongs to the next dead man that comes along and the next dead man that comes along. So it becomes the dead motorcyclist's inn, or whoever dies in it next is who it's named after. It's very, very bizarre and very Russian and highly kind of politicized. Hidden behind this thin veil of science fiction, or in this case, a detective story to get around the Soviet censors. It's ingenious stuff. But I'm a dyslexic, so I can't read very well. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm going to read something, I'll read a comic book because it's got nice pictures, and you know, I like to support certain comic book artists. Ed,
you're talking about Ed?
Yeah.
Hi, Ed. Shout out for Ed. I'm sure I'll put a link below if you're interested in finding out more about his particular comic book series.
Yeah, his stuff's fantastic. If he's like you say up next, I'm
not sure who's next. I'll have to double check. He's on the list of people who'd like to be interviewed.
I'm
not sure who it's going to be.
He's in the crosshairs, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been listening to, and before that, I did another book by the same guys called Monday Starts on Saturday, which is it's fantastic. It's kind of like without plugging the turf, it's a bit Harry Potter-esque. It's very, very, very light, kind of childish, playful, but has some quite big ideas in it. And you know, it's written at this very strange time, before the fall of the Berlin Wall, where
I thought you meant written a strange time, like now.
Oh God, yeah.
It's written during this very strange time.
But again, it kind of it's got some very strange bits in it where it's talking about witches and wizards, but it's not. It's talking about kind of Soviet bureaucracy through this thin little periscope.
Metaphor, hey. Yeah, sounds good. People should give that a check out. I'm sure it's there on Amazon if people want to go and order it, or from a bookshop at best. Obviously, not for Amazon as they are.
Yeah, it's not all like extremely heavy kind of stalker stuff. You know, roadside picnic. Yeah. They do light, playful stuff as well.
So here's a tough question for you, John. What does gaming mean to you?
It means a cracking good model.
Yeah.
It like we touched on earlier, they really go hand in hand with me. I mean, the sort of person that plays with unpainted models is Satan. You need to get at least 3 colors on those models.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What was that look for?
What, me?
What does gaming mean to me? It means friendship. It means getting out the house on a jolly, dropping some dice. It means ludic subversion from harsh capitalism.
Yes.
I need to exercise that part of my brain that is formed up of battle maneuvers and strategy and fucking with people's equilibrium and, you know, risk taking. Everything's in there. I mean, it's you just have to look at kind of the Society of the Situationalists and Guy Debord's kind of essays on gaming and how powerful a tool it actually is. You know, governments around the world do this to, like, I think Monk stuck up a post earlier this morning about Trump's Defense Committee wargaming stuff in the Pentagon to do with Generation Z. I mean, it's a very, very powerful tool that you can use in the real world, but at the same time, kind of kick back and be silly with. You know, it's.
Yeah, I know. In the in World War II, they wargamed the Battle of the Midway.
Yeah.
And the Japanese had their aircraft carriers sunk, and General I don't know who it was anyway, Ugaki, Admiral, even Admiral Ugaki, he overruled the judge and said no, they wouldn't be sunk. This is, you know, and of course history went on to show they would be sunk in the conflict, and that was, you know, the sort of turning point for them in that naval battle. So ignore war games at your peril.
Yes, yeah. They are extremely important for learning and also just having fun, trialing and erroring stuff. You know.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I enjoy using a range of parts of my brain that I don't get to use every day.
And you know, it's kind of a loaded question when you say, what does wargaming mean to you? You can kind of overarch it with gaming in general. A game doesn't
because it includes role playing and board games and card games. Some of those are, you know, a competitive, like a cooperative. That's what I'm after. Game. And there's no. I played a JB. Hi JB. It was a relationship board game. I think me and Aidan played it, where we took on the roles of, we had certain goals that we wanted to achieve in our relationship. Not us personally. We had drew the card and it was a character we were playing that had these certain personality traits. And we had to hit certain goals in our relationship, and you played this card game, and so the idea was at the end you would have this great relationship. I have to say that me and Aidan, our characters didn't make it.
Trouble in Paradise.
Turned out I was too selfish in the end. Who would know? But yeah, that's an example of a game. It's not a war game. It's the exact opposite. It's a love game.
Well, you know, I've also seen games based around the Tour de France.
Yeah,
all kinds of manner of things, and you know, it's Blood Bowl, for example. You know, you're playing a game of American football, but at the same time, it feels just as ludic as a game of 40K.
Yeah, it's
maybe it's a slightly different flavour, but
yeah. You know, you can play Gaslands and it can just be a race. No guns on the cards, you know.
That's true. You know, you can exercise your inner pacifist. There's all sorts of interesting stuff on this.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right, absolutely right. It's good to be able to get together with people and you know, chat while you play and have interactions that way. John, I think we're going to take a break there. So Gary can do magical editing and stuff. So we'll come back in just a short moment for the next set of questions.
Perfect.
And we could never recover the last foot of it, so I guess it's just going to have to stay out in the cold.
Defrost it.
Defrost it, be fine.
Yeah.
Check it in the oven. Got some more questions for you, John. Back with John here. John, what artists inspire you?
Oh, I knew this one was coming up, and I didn't want to sound like a hack when you asked me. I love all forms of art, comic book art, Ed, Jason Atomic. I really like the art of Duchamp, purely from the way he attacks just the very nature of art. And just the way he's a complete hack towards the end of his career as well. He said he'd never recreate any of these pieces, and you know, someone showed him some money, and he did. But that's the very, very nature of art in general. I'm obsessed with anything Dada, because you know, kind of attacking the very nature of establishment art is fantastic. You know, you've really got to understand what art is as a controlled medium. It's just like the fucking music business. Just like it's a fucking business.
It is.
And if you're into it for the love of it, you're doing yourself an injustice. You really need to kind of rebel and try and break it at the seams, which itself turned into an art movement of making money. It's just interesting what capitalism does to it, you know. And at the same time, I see as much kind of intrinsic value in North Korea or Maoist propaganda. You know, there's some beautiful airbrush work in that for completely opposite reasons. You know, I can look at the Dutch masters and enjoy that. You know, I can look at sculptures of antiquity and get something out of it. I really like Miyazaki's artwork. You know, I know that's a bit more twee and for the kids, but I think he just anthropomorphizes so well. He brings a little tear. He's got that kind of Disney hardline to your emotions, but he exploits it a lot better. It's a lot less.
I think he captures the magic of childhood much better than Disney, which you initially is like it's very magical, but it's not that magical.
Disney is mercenary.
Any magic happening, it's just because you're a child, you know.
Sure, Disney understands where to put the strings. It's more of a Hans Zimmer kind of experience. It knows where to tug at your emotions. Where Studio Ghibli kind of taps into your core childhood.
Watching My Neighbor Totoro. Spoilers. I've seen it like so many times, and every single time when they find that shoe in the pond, I'm generally worried. This time, they're like, because they're trying to find the missing girl. They find a shoe, and every time I'm like, oh no, they found a shoe. I'm like, how can this get me every single time when I know? Well, yeah, I know spoilers.
Oh, also, he taps into my vein of love of flight, and
he loves flying things, doesn't he?
Yeah. I'm obsessed with flight. It's something I've always loved. Zeppelins, blimps, biplanes, anything that hovers. We're not meant to do it.
We're not, and yet we do.
And yet we do. We do it because it is hard.
Our brains let us fly, which is quite an interesting thought, really, isn't it?
But yeah, I've gone completely off tone with that, and we've just started talking about animation.
There's no wrong answers in this game, John. It's all right. We just ramble our way through the questions, talking about what we want to talk about.
Well, I'd be at a loss without covering the Chapman brothers before we end the segment on art. They've been extremely kind of influential in everything I do with their and they're not to everyone's tastes because they're extremely fucking visceral, but they have this kind of beautiful double-edged sword of being horribly fucking mean and actually poking fun at the horrible meanness at the same time.
Yeah,
it's a really, really strong discussion into the ironic veneration of tyrants.
Okay.
And the ironic kind of veneration of
fascism. Chapman Brothers, John, so I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna be checking those out after this interview and have a look online.
Oh, you are in for a treat. They have you might want to get the bleeps out here, Gary. They have a work which is absolutely massive and in multiple parts, and it's 132 scale dioramas called Fucking Hell, and it's a hellscape. And mate, you're in for a treat. Just check it out.
You're in for a treat.
You're in for a treat.
Hell. Yeah. Anything during this time of COVID disease is Journey Through Hell, a nice change.
But also before you pull out the next question, it's they're so good because they're a trio, a duo of artists. So you have that two ideas, which is similar in the wargaming. Two almost opposing ideas that want the same objective. So you get this beautiful mismatch of ideas between the two. It's just like Gilbert and George, and any of the two great double acts.
Yeah. Cool. John, what's your favorite genre of movies?
See, I knew you were going to ask me this one, and we can ramble on for a while here. We'll start. I'll say war movies for a start.
I'll back and relax and just drink my.
I love a good war movie. I watched a really good one last night with Tom Hanks. I watched Greyhound, which
that's the one at sea, isn't it?
It's the one at sea. U-boats hunting Allied convoys.
Mm-hmm.
Well worth a watch. Check it out. It was much better than that Midway horror show.
I watched that one.
Oh, mate, that was bad. That was really, really bad. Really, really poor film. And they're very similar films in the way that they're just full of CGI. There's no way of getting away with it. There's just 90 minutes of pure CGI. And
well, in the old days, they still had the boats hanging around, didn't they? So they took them out, and then they'd use little models.
Just use a model stage, and kind of Jerry Anderson, fill it full of Semtex and blow it up. Record it at 100 frames a second, and you're good to go. I love war movies. It was good to see Tom Hanks back in the captain's hat.
Yeah.
It was a very good take on the U-boat film, but from the opposite end of the spectrum. It kind of had a Das Boat feel to it, but they were above water. You can't get away if you're in the middle of the Atlantic and you're being hunted by U-boats, so it's completely claustrophobic. It had the missus on the sofa going, "Oh, were they in a submarine?" Doing a right peep show moment. I loved it.
I have to check it out. It sounds good. Sounds like my kind of thing. I mean, I like all the old classics, like The Eagle Has Landed and The Great Escape and The Dirty Dozen, Kelly's Heroes. I mean, there's that sort of classic movies which you kind of can watch and
the Sunday matinee.
Yeah, they're good, but from in a nostalgic kind of way. But I do. There seems to be more. Some of the modern ones, a bit more gritty. I do enjoy those ones as well. So
but it's I won't just confine myself to war films. I like sci-fi movies. I like some gory films. I'm not particularly into zombies as a genre. I think that's been done to death. I think superhero movies have been done to death.
It's sort of a defining genre for the last 20 years has been like superhero movies, and
my real love is kind of tacky 90s stuff. I like the good James Cameron stuff. I like no, not Titanic. Not Titanic. Although I'm actually staring at a model Titanic up on the shelf.
I'm going to be controversial and say it's not that bad if you just put disc 2 on and just go to the end.
Straight to the sinking.
Yeah.
The Billy Bob Thornton running around with a service revolver, executing people for cowardice while he's stolen a life jacket.
What more do you want from like a Sunday afternoon?
Take a full Sunday afternoon if you're going to watch the full thing.
I suppose so. We should organise a viewing party or something for everyone. We'll go on Netflix.
I think there was a version of the Titanic that was actually made by the National Socialist Party of Germany at one point. That's well worth a watch for extremely different reasons. But again, big grand epic, ship sinks, big puff of smoke out of the funnel as it. There's nothing quite like seeing an actual model ship sink.
Yeah,
just like those old Sunday matinee naval movies. Good stuff.
It's a different story. I'm just kind of relate to talking about models like Ray Harryhausen movies. I took William. Me and William like to watch Jason and the Argonauts, and they were showing it at the Prince Charles Cinema, and this was like 4 or 5. It was like a year and a half ago, and we went along, and everyone in the cinema was like my age or a little bit younger, and there's William in there with us, and there's some kids in there as well. And he runs up to go and get the golden fleece, and then my son shouts out, "There's a Hydra in the cave! Hydra's gonna come out of the cave!" And I looked around, and everyone in the cinema was beaming. They weren't annoyed at all. They were just so pleased to see he was that excited about the Hydra coming out of the cave. It was because this is a good moment.
Oh man, the claymation! I've got to have the claymation fest with little Johnny. Godzilla. Oh, all those kaiju movies. So good. Harryhausen. Oh man, you've hit it there. Have you seen Carl's Army that he did for Kings of War that is based on Jason and the Argonauts?
I've not.
He's got the golden fleece hanging off a tree. He's got the Colossus. All the Greek gods are there. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because I know there was a Kickstarter recently for the Mortal Gods game, getting it back onto gaming here, because there's now a fantasy version of, and they did a Cyclops and they did a Hydra, and I was very tempted to get involved, and then I remembered that I have lots of things to paint and lots of games to play.
Those piles won't soothe themselves.
Well, my piles, John, are very much diminished, actually. Pretty much all I've got left to do is my English Civil War. I've got a few things boxed up, like I've got some militiamen if we ever got onto French Indian War, and I I managed to win a box of Napoleonics, and they're in there as well. But really, it's a couple of British World War II characters, which I'm saving for when I finally do a British World War II army, and that English Civil War. Apart from that, it's all like small scale, like Epic and 15.
I have been really attacking my rainy day stash of model kits. Really attacking it, which is a kind of it's a happy sadness because I like them in their boxes. It kind of feels like I'm destroying a Star Wars original Kenner figure, you know.
Yeah. I always used to open the package to make it easier to store the stuff. And these days I'm like, no, you keep it in the box. It's actually, you can stack the boxes up as a sit.
Oh, Battlefleet Gothic, once it's out the box, you'll never get it back in the box.
Never. What were we talking about, John?
I can't remember.
Was it movie genres?
We were.
Battlefleet Gothic won't go in the box. My favourite of all movie genres.
When the Nazis did David Cameron. James Cameron. Oh, Freudian slip there.
What's going on?
He's hiding in the shed. Kill him.
John, what makes you build a force for a game?
Oh, usually a shitty war movie.
This is a really shitty movie. I'm going to make an army for this.
Yeah. I did one for Fury, tank platoon for Fury, 2 tank platoons for Kelly's Heroes. I did an army for Come and See. I did a tank army for Girls in Panzer, which is a Japanese.
Girls in Panzer.
Yeah, it's not to everyone's taste. It's very Japanese and odd.
Yeah, I think
I watch it for the tanks. I watch it for the tanks.
Girls in Panzer. I think is what John's reckon. As you know about it, but it sounds like it might not be for you.
I'm in it for the Panzers. Honest, I read it for the articles.
Girls in tank tops, on tank tops.
That's usually what inspires me is a bad war movie. But that's for the that's for the historical stuff or kind of non-historical stuff, which is what I'm more into. I think people can get far too caught up in historics. Yeah. When I would prefer to do a bad historic reenactment. I want to do a Commando comic. I want to do, a cheesy, badly acted period drama that's on ITV.
I think
I'm playing Black Sail. We're not playing Black Sail. We're playing Hornblower.
Yeah, I think Warlord Games have said that their game is supposed to be a Commando comic version of World War II, because if they actually did a real World War II game, it's just it's going to be.
You need to be sensitive to people's feelings, because this stuff is real history.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that edgelord that just upsets people.
But I'll be honest with you, I hate Nazis. But I'm okay to play the bad guy in the game. I'm that movie. I'm playing Indiana Jones, and I've got Germans in the desert.
Of course, generic Wilhelm scream guys.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do that for a game, and and I always say if I'm playing as the Nazis, then if I lose, it's okay, and if I win, I won the game. So that's fun as well.
You've got that lovely Alpha Legion flair of I was incompetent all along.
That's fine. But if you're going to play a World War II game, at some point, someone has to be the Axis.
Well, not necessarily. It's all to do with perception. I was there are ticketed events for the bolt action community, and sometimes to get the numbers right, you have to state whether you're playing Axis or Allied. Yeah. And I wanted to bring a North Korean list. And technically, if you think about it, they're so left-wing that they go completely off the clock and become quite right-wing.
Yeah.
So it's if I was to play with a North Korean force, they would be fighting against NATO, which are the good guys. So they hit this horrible grey area where you can't quite
Well,
Like,
not allies, are they? They're just kind of, you know.
yeah, it's quite hard to, and at the same time, as long as someone's not playing some horrible SS division with names and men based on dog tags and stuff, you can kind of just excuse it if the person's a nice enough guy.
I just remembered something I learned the other day. When you hear the term third world nation, what it actually technically means is during the Cold War, you had the people who are on the Russian side, and then there's the US's side. So there's two nations, and they were a third world nation. They weren't actually on the Russians or the American side. That's what the actual term actually means.
That's some heavy stuff, man.
I think Axis and Allies. It's a bit like that, You're Axis or Ally. Well, I'm neither. Like Switzerland was on neither side. Obviously, they were neutral, famously.
Switzerland doesn't really come to mind when you say third world.
No. That's what I mean. It's like you're probably using it incorrectly.
They wouldn't be putting that in guidebooks.
What popped into my mind with the word third world nation was not actually the correct meaning of a word. Anyway, that's enough from Andrew's Dictionary Corner, dictionarydefinition.com. What were we talking about, John? Before I distracted everyone from what we're supposed to be talking about, it was what makes you collect a force, wasn't it? I think
it was, yeah.
So it's movies.
Yes, yeah. Generally, a cheesy war film will give me inspiration for a force.
I know the English Civil War stuff we're collecting. That's a bit different in that it was.
I kind of got bullied into that, but I've gone with a Witchfinder General kind of theme. Kind of Hammer horror.
Name is Matthew Hopkins. I'm a witch hunter general. Gary, can you add some sparkles to that? My name is Matthew Hopkins. I'm a witch hunter general. There you go, guys. So witch hunter, witch finder, even.
Yeah. That's about it, really. I can't think.
We all got bullied into that, didn't we? It was all our second choice.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Lots of men to paint.
Oh, so much brown to paint. I think we had a discussion in the historicals group about the English Civil War stuff, and I think we're gonna play it when we get back. But we were thinking about maybe we've learned a lesson about jumping straight into large rank and file.
Napoleonic's next, eh?
Well, we haven't voted on it yet. We are a democracy.
Well,
but I think Napoleonics would be a good one to get involved in.
Well, I've kind of bitten off more than I can chew doing Balearic stuff with Ed. I've got to the Crimea.
The Crimea.
Crimea.
You got yourself a seacoal yet?
Say that again.
Have you got yourself a Mary seacoal?
I haven't. I treated myself to the Charge of the Light Brigade set because I thought it was going on last chance to buy, but no, I was conned.
At some point it might do, and then you'd be like, I got in before it was cool. What's the next question? Let's have a look. I'm very good at going off on tangents, as you know. What's your next army project?
Oh, well, it is probably going to be the Crimean stuff. I need to get some Highlanders and some really fine brushes to start painting tartan, because that's going to be fun.
Yeah, if anyone has any tips on how to paint tartan, please let John know in the comments below. I have only once painted some tartan. I had a Scottish friend, and I did a special. I did a claymore wielding fire dragon exarch in a kilt. And conversion, obviously, and it was a little challenging because I remember painting this tartan and thinking, I'm not going to paint tartan again. I did paint tartan on my Covenanters have no tartan.
I think I've done it once on it. It's not Mad Jack Churchill, but there's definitely some free figure that comes in a kilt. Comes with a.
He has the bagpipes, doesn't he?
Yes, it's a bagpiper.
Yeah.
And I painted tartan on the bagpipes, and by God, that did my head in.
Yeah. There's probably a really easy way to do it using. You put it one color and then you do a stripe of one of those things that just washes off, and and you paint the stripes on. You do the next color, paint another set of stripes, and then you wash it all off, and it's probably gonna. I don't know if this exists as a thing, but that's my plan. If someone could let me know, one of the Henrys will know if that's a thing you can do.
I'd quite like to get some World War One stuff at some point. Me and Tom wanted to play this Freikorps versus Sparcists stuff, which looked really interesting. It had lots of civilian elements involved. It's a PDF he downloaded from somewhere, but I'd really like to get some turn of the century kind of fighting in the streets going on. But money's such a hole at the moment.
It is, isn't it? These things cost money. There's a World War. I can't remember what it's called now. The Great War or something. And it's you have a box and you put all the World War One. You set up the trenches and you set all the barbed wire, and then the first thing you do in the game is like roll to see where the artillery barrage comes down, and it blows up all your defenses, and then you start. So I thought that was quite, and then you set up your defenses, and then you go like, well, actually, that whole left wing has just gone from sustained bombardment. But I think we'll take a break now, and we'll head back after the break and have another chat. So speak to you all soon. To you all soon. To John soon. All of you.